Hi, Carlo Varia. This is Nick. This is part 2 of our Confederate. Again, here's Patrick, and he is holding up one of the Confederate officers.
The Confederate officer frock coat. This is for a captain. That's the braid on the sleeve. That's the collar insignia the captain wears. He has a vest underneath. He has the lapels buttoned back, but they can also be buttoned across. He's got matching braid on the cap to show his rank, and he's got the light blue pinstripe pants for an infantry officer. That's the same as the Union. We have an enlisted man frock coat. He's a NCO. He's got his corporal stripes here, and this is a pant stripe for an NCO. We also have a hat, kepi, which can be for an infantryman. He's got the infantry blue there.
And meaning NCO, I'm sure everybody knows it's like a sergeant or a corporal.
Or a corporal, not an officer.
Not an officer.
And this is a infantry hat. Infantry officer can wear it. It's got the officer's hat cords on it, and the infantry emblem is a bugle. And this would be a hat with light blue cords for an enlisted man. This could be without the cords, doesn't matter. Just a typical hat of the period. And here's a plain kepi. A lot of the Confederates had just plain ones. And here's another version of Confederate uniform, Confederate short jacket known as shell jacket for infantry soldier. And here's matching pants that go with it. And some guys had civilian pants with this, civilian hats as well. Here's artillery officers, the red, it's for a captain. Here's an artillery shell jacket for a mounted artillery officer. That's the braid on the sleeve for a captain. Here's the red pinstripe for an officer right here.
Okay, so that's our artillery. Again, we'll have 3 cannons. Probably the same 3 cannons that we're going to use for the Union, and then they'll switch them over, and we'll have 4 or 5 artillery soldiers per cannon.
And here's an artillery enlisted man, the same type of shell jacket, except it's got red collar and cuffs and red chevrons for a corporal and red pants stripe for a corporal. And here's a red band on the kepi. And there could be civilian clothes mixed in with this outfit as well.
And they don't wear Corps badge?
No, not typically. There's another variation. There was a lot of brown uniforms called butternut uniforms in the Confederate Army. Here's a brown kepi. Here's a butternut shell jacket.
Let's move that shirt.
And here's a typical civilian shirt and suspenders, which could be worn with any of these uniforms.
And we're going to give we're still pulling more of a mix for the Confederate between kind of like civilian clothes that we'll piece in there as well. Because we'll have a little bit more variation with the Confederate uniforms. Let's see those vests.
And then we have some typical vests of the period, and homespun vest.
We can possibly throw some of these in to give a little bit more character look to some of these soldiers.
And then we come to cavalry. There's a listed cavalry kepi, the cavalry branch band. There's a cavalry shell jacket, cavalry cuffs, cavalry chevrons, another just any period shirt, civilian shirt with it, and the NCO pants stripe with the blue pants. And here's an officer's shell jacket. This could be buttoned across. It's got the cavalry piping. It's got the scrolls. This is for a lieutenant. And he's got the cavalry officer's pants with the yellow branch piping right there. And that could be worn with cavalry kepi with the insignia for his rank on it. There's a single one for a lieutenant. Or he could wear the campaign hat with officer's cap cords.
Great.
And here's an enlisted campaign hat with enlisted cords. And here's just more variation of NCOs. There's a sergeant major, shell jacket, the cavalry, and sergeant's pants, trouser piping. The pants for cavalry are all reinforced seat for mounted soldiers.
Okay, great.
And all the cavalry troops were pulling 40 pairs of boots, cavalry boots, for both Union and Confederate soldiers, all mounted soldiers.
Okay.
And maybe some officers.
Great.
So
Okay,
that's it.
so this is our 100. Doesn't look like much.
It's over 100 actually.
It's actually over 100. And I believe, Carlo, that you've pulled some Confederate as well from Torelli. So this should work out pretty good. We're still going to pull some more character pieces, hats and such.